Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start, flipping or wholesaling houses, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. I had a question. I've got a series of questions, but one of them I'm going to answer because they're all over the place. Is can you wholesale houses using other people's money? So the answer is clearly yes, but the question is what money you're talking about. So in New York, there's a large deposit. My mic is not on. I realize that now. I mean, you're hearing me, but I gotta put this in. I got a better microphone, so let me put this one in. See if it doesn't explode my whole computer. Let me just check the mic. Sorry, I should have done this before. I apologize. I forgot the mic was not plugged in. I think it's working. Okay. So, now, the question is, what money do you need to actually be wholesaling with other people's money? So here's what you need to do. You need to spend a little bit of money to go find a deal. Now, maybe you find a deal by accident, then you don't need to spend any money on it. The only issue of actually using other people's money would apply really in New York, where the EMD, the earnest money deposit, the money you have to put down to lock up the contract, can be significant. Right? Standard in New York is 10%. So you're buying something for $300,000, they're going to want $30,000. Now, I usually negotiate that down, $5,000, $10,000, but it's something. So if you don't have that money, then you either got to borrow it or you have to partner up with somebody like me. So you can definitely partner up with somebody like me. The split, if you wholesale a deal, if you bring me a deal and I end up wholesaling it, is 50-50. You get 50% of the profit. The biggest advantage to partnering up with somebody like me is that I'm going to tell you whether it's a deal or at what price, more specifically, at what price point it is a deal. Now, we all think when we start doing this business that we're going to know. We think two stupid things that we find that are not true. First thing we think is that people are going to come to us and they're going to basically say, I need to sell my house for any price. Almost nobody does that. Most people have a number in mind. Sometimes they'll give it to you, sometimes they won't, but they have a number in mind. So if you're new, you're not going to know if that's a good deal or not. That's the truth. So partnering up with somebody like me, the huge advantage, really the biggest service I provide that nobody talks about, is that I'll tell you exactly what number it's a deal and what it's not. That helps out a lot, right? A guy wants $500,000. I tell you it's not a deal of $300,000. You can make an offer. So there are a few advantages to working with somebody like me. First of all, you don't have to put up any money. I use my own money. Second of all, I'm going to tell you if it's a deal or not. Third of all, if we have to close on it, right? People assume we are going to that we're going to always be able to wholesale it. But there's times you can't. If we have to close on it, then I'll close on it. If I have to close on the deal, then it's 60-40 in my favor. So, you can definitely do it partnering up JV, joint venture, as I just discussed with somebody like me. You can definitely borrow the money from somebody else, right? If you're 100% sure it's a deal and the guy wants $20,000 EMD deposit and you can make even $20,000 more on it, you should borrow that money, lock up the contract, go put it out to a list, right? Oh, that's another advantage I provide. I have a really good list. I have people who come to me very often and say, I can get X. Can you get more? And I usually do end up getting more. So I think it's important to understand that when you say, can you wholesale with other people's money, what money do you mean? If it's deposit money, you can joint venture with somebody like me. You can borrow the money. That's all the money you need. Now, if you are wholesaling in other states, there isn't even an EMD. They don't even ask for money. Or maybe they ask for $100 or $50 or something like that. In a lot of states, you don't even have to make the deposit, the deposit money. In other words, the seller doesn't even have to actually get the deposit money for the contract to be legal. In New York, not only does the seller have to get the money, that money has to clear. So I've had situations where somebody sent me a check and then the check didn't clear. Usually it's an honest mistake, but technically I'm not in contract. I'm not obligated to sell the property to him if his check bounces or his wire gets decayed, gets returned. So in other states, it's all bullshit, right? You can write a check for $50 and the guy doesn't even have to deposit it. So you want to check your local real estate laws as to what is a binding contract or not. Understand, if you're in a state where the seller does need to deposit it, and the seller doesn't deposit it, you may not be locked up in contract as you think. I have friends who, I forgot what state they're in, Kansas, Missouri, and they make the seller sign something that says that he's receiving a check, and even if he doesn't deposit the check, the contract's still legally binding, right? That's what's necessary there. In New York, it's not necessary at all because it's just standard procedure, and it's in the contract that if the deposit funds don't clear, you can kiss my ass, basically. So when you say, can you wholesale with other people's money? Sure. In other states, you don't need any money. Now, you may need money to go find a deal, right? The way I typically tell people to do it is to buy a list from, let's say, PropStream or Listability, skip trace that list. That process, if the list is the 10,000, could cost somewhere between $800 and $1,500, and then you're gonna call those numbers, right, to get the deal. Now, you may have other ways of getting deals. Maybe you know someone who has deals. Maybe you found the deal by accident. Maybe it's your neighbor. Maybe it's your friend. In that case, you don't need any money, and to lock it up, as long as you speak to somebody who knows how to do things there, you get the guy to sign a contract, and you're in contract, and then you can go market the deal and find a buyer for it. Right? I'm a huge wholesaling fan. I love it. But I would say half the properties that I go into contract on, I close on. I wish I could wholesale everything, but I can't. Right? Many properties I have to close on, properties I have to do work to, properties that have that I'm paying too high of a price to find a cash buyer for, but it still makes sense on a wholesale basis or an ovation basis. So I do that all the time. And it's fine, right? Sometimes I have to rehab the property myself. It's fine. I can do that, right? You may not be in a position to do that. So just understand, though, that if you're going to wholesale the deal and you're putting in a decent deposit, that you run the risk of having to close on it if you screwed up your numbers, or if for whatever reason your wholesale buyers, your cash buyers cannot get access to the property. That happens sometimes, right? Seller decides he's not letting you in. Things like that happen all the time. So again, a few advantages of working with somebody like me are I'll tell you what a deal is, right? So you'll know. If I have to close on the property, I'll close. I have a good buyer's list so I can put it out there and see what people react to. Had a deal recently. Wasn't sure if it was a deal, right? Fit some feelers out. Got good offers. Went to contract. I knew I had my buyer already, right? Bought something for $250. I'm selling it for $290. It's a $40,000 deal. It's great. I can put things out to my list like that. Now, if you're new, building that list is going to be a little hard. And even if you find a buyer, you're not going to really know whether you got the most. But again, this isn't a sales pitch on why you should JV with me. I'm not making it that. It's a little bit of a strange question saying wholesaling with other people's money. Most of the gurus out there, and some of them are really good guys, are going to tell you don't need any money to wholesale. So wholesale with other people's money in New York, yes, but you got to borrow it or you got to JV with somebody like me. I think that's the only way that it's going to work if the earnest money deposit is significant. And I don't know any attorney that's going to let his client sell a property and not get a significant deposit. I mean, at least $3,000, something like that. But again, I know people upstate who get deals for $500. I just haven't found attorneys in Long Island or in the 5 boroughs of New York City that are going to allow that to happen. Maybe one day I will. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com or learntoflipandwholesale.com. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you are watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes help the algorithm so more people get to see my videos. So thank you very much for all the people that have been liking my videos and all the new people that have been watching them. And please keep the comments, all your questions coming. I post 5 times a week. I don't always know what to say. Your questions help me by A, giving me things to think about for future videos, B, by actually answering the questions in a video. So you can ask any question you want on any video. I don't care if it's related to the topic that I discussed. You come up with any question, just ask it. And if it's something simple, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something that I've covered recently, I'll send you a link to a video, sometimes multiple videos on it. And if it's something new or something I haven't covered in a while, right? It's hard for me to remember when I cover things, but the other day I looked at something I hadn't covered it in 2 years. If I haven't covered it in a while, I'll do a brand new video on it. So please keep the questions coming. I really appreciate all of the questions you've been asking, and I really appreciate all the people that are watching. So keep the questions coming, keep watching, And thank you. This is pretty well. It's not the end of the year, but almost the last video of the year. So I really appreciate everyone who's been watching, who's been liking. Thank you very, very much.